The first time Clara noticed a stranger, he wasn't carrying trouble the way people in town described him. He rode slowly along the fence line, stopped to help an older ranch hand lift a broken gate, thanked her with a quiet nod, and continued down the road without asking for anything. Her father, Thomas, watched from the porch with folded arms.
Coffee?
"If you see him again," he said without looking at her, "you keep your distance." Clara nodded because arguing never changed his mind. Still, she wondered how someone who barely spoke could leave so much silence behind after he passed. The stranger's name was Eli. People called him a gunslinger because he had once earned a living settling disputes across frontier towns. Those years were mostly behind him now. He traveled alone, taking odd jobs repairing fences, breaking horses, and moving cattle wherever honest work could be found. Over the following weeks, Clara crossed paths with him more often than she expected. Sometimes he repaired a wheel outside the blacksmith shop. Sometimes he carried feed for older ranchers whose backs had given out. He never stayed long enough for conversation. Yet somehow every meeting lingered with her after he was gone. One cool evening, she found him sitting beside the creek, watching the current drift around smooth stones. "I hear you're supposed to be dangerous," she said. Eli smiled faintly. "That's what people remember." "And what do you remember?" He skipped a pebble across the water before answering. "Mostly the things I wish had happened differently." The answer stayed with her long after she returned home. As summer settled over the valley, their conversations became part of ordinary days. They spoke about horses that refused easy riders, storms that never arrived, worn boots, and long roads that seemed to lead nowhere in particular. Neither tried to impress the other. They simply enjoyed being understood. Thomas noticed the changes before Clara admitted them to herself. "You're seeing that man." She hesitated. "I've spoken with him." Thomas stood quietly before saying, "His family took everything from ours." That night, Clara searched through old trunks in the attic, hoping to understand the anger that had shaped her father's life. She found newspaper clippings describing failed land agreements, arguments over grazing rights, and rumors repeated so many times they had become accepted as truth. Weeks later, Eli finally shared his side. "My father signed papers he believed were fair. Your father refused them. Neither man trusted the other after that. So whose fault was it? I don't honestly know." The uncertainty unsettled her more than certainty ever could. Autumn arrived with colder mornings and longer shadows stretching across empty fields. Clara realized both families had spent decades protecting stories they had never questioned. Searching through forgotten boxes once more, she discovered a bundle of letters hidden beneath her late mother's sewing chest. One letter stopped her cold. Her mother had written that Thomas privately admitted the misunderstanding years earlier, but feared losing the respect of neighbors if he confessed. Clara carried the letter to her father. "You knew." Thomas looked at the pages without reaching for them. "I did. All these years. I thought I was protecting this family."
I should have done it years ago.
She sat across from him, unable to speak. "I kept waiting for the right time," he whispered. "There wasn't one." The words landed softly, but they left no room to hide. Thomas finally rode with Clara to meet Eli's father. No voices were raised. No old accusations returned. For aging people simply admitted that pride had lasted longer than the truth. Forgiveness came quietly, almost awkwardly, like neighbors learning each other's names for the first time. But nothing could return the years their families had spent apart. Before winter, Thomas sold part of the ranch to cover debts that had grown during the long feud. The land Clara loved would never again belong entirely entirely to their family. One evening, she stood beside Eli overlooking the fields where fences now crossed open ground without anger attached to them. "We lost a lot," she said. "We did, but at least we're done losing it for the wrong reasons." He reached for her hand, and together they watched the sun disappear behind the hills where so many old stories had finally come to an end